The Aurora Trail drifted through the violet clouds of the nebula K7, its metal hull gleaming under distant starlight. Commander Rian stood on the bridge, his hands gripping the railing as he watched the swirling gases outside. Space had a strange way of making him feel small and infinite at the same time. He had flown through many nebulae before, but something about this one made his heart race. "Commander, sensors are picking up movement ahead," said Lieutenant Mara, her voice steady but tense. "Unknown ship. No identification code. It is moving fast and heading directly toward us," Ryan nodded. "Prepare for contact. Keep shields at 20%. I do not want to provoke them." He felt a twinge of unease. Space had a way of hiding danger in plain sight. He had learned long ago that the universe did not forgive mistakes. Moments later, a small ship burst from the nebula clouds. Its hull was scratched and scorched. Ryan frowned. "That ship is damaged." "It is not attacking. It is in distress." Mara's fingers danced across the controls. "Should we hail them?" "Yes," Ryan said. "Open a channel. Keep it neutral. We do not want to escalate anything." The screen flickered and then a figure appeared. Her skin was pale blue and her eyes were a bright silver. Her hair moved slightly as if in water, and she wore armor that gleamed with a metallic sheen. She looked strong and alert, yet exhaustion weighed down her shoulders. "This is Commander Ryan of the Aurora Trail. We see your ship is damaged. Do you require assistance?" The figure's lips pressed into a thin line. "Stay back, human," she said. "Touch me again and you will regret it." Her voice was calm but carried an edge sharp enough to cut through steel. Ryan raised his hands in peace. "I mean no harm. I only offer help." She studied him for a moment. Then her eyes flicked toward the back of her ship, where the hull was split and smoke rose. Ryan noticed the weapons were missing, leaving only scars and shattered plating. He realized that she had been through a battle. He could feel the exhaustion radiating from her. "Fine," she said finally. "You may board, but stay away from my ship's core." Ryan nodded. "Understood." When the airlock hissed open, the first thing Ryan noticed was the heat. Smoke lingered in the corridors, making it hard to breathe. He pulled on a mask and stepped in. The figure moved ahead of him, her steps deliberate and controlled. "Your name?" Ryan asked. "Seren," she said. "And you are a human?" "Yes," Ryan said. "Commander Rian, I will help you repair your ship." Seren snorted softly. "Humans believe too much in their kindness." Ryan smiled faintly. "Perhaps. But sometimes kindness saves lives." He followed her to the center of the ship, where the damage was most severe. Sparks flew from exposed wires. Smoke curled from the broken panels. Serene knelt near the main console and examined it with a careful eye. "Your technology is fragile," she said. "A strong hand could destroy it in an instant." Ryan knelt beside her. "Fragile, yes. But we survive because we adapt. Even fragile things can endure." She looked at him, curiosity flickering in her silver eyes. Her hand hovered over the console but did not touch it. She studied the human beside her, the way he remained calm despite the chaos. Rian began working on the wiring. His fingers moved with practiced ease, rerouting energy and stabilizing the failing systems. Seren watched silently. She did not move closer, but she did not step away either. Minutes passed. The smoke thickened and the lights flickered. Suddenly a spark flew from the central panel, hitting Rian's arm. He hissed in pain but did not pull back. He used the other hand to steady the wires, fixing the problem. Serene's eyes widened. "You could have been burned." "You are reckless." "I am careful where it matters," Rian said. "Saving lives matters." Serene shook her head but said nothing. Ryan finished the repairs and the lights stabilized. The ship's core hummed steadily, a sound that carried warmth through the metal corridors. "You humans are strange," Seren said finally. "You risk yourselves for others." Ryan shrugged. "It is what we do. Life is worth the risk." Seren did not respond immediately. She turned away and examined her ship, moving her hands over the damage. Ryan noticed that she sometimes hesitated, as if unsure of her next move. He wondered what her people would say if they saw her now, working alongside a human. The silence stretched, and then Seren spoke again. "I do not trust easily. Your words are strong, but words are not proof." "I understand," Rian said. "Proof comes in actions, not words." A sudden alarm blared. Ryan jumped up. "What is it?" "The hull integrity is falling," Seren said sharply. "Another wave of debris is coming. We must stabilize the shields or the ship will be torn apart." Rian ran to the control panel. He activated the shield boosters and rerouted energy from the engines. The Aurora trail shuddered as the energy moved between the two ships. Sparks flew again, and a panel near Seren's feet exploded slightly, sending a wave of heat across the floor. Seren pulled back but did not leave. "You are reckless," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "I could have done this alone." "You are strong," Ryan said. "But even strong hands need help sometimes." She stared at him, and for a moment the hard line of her lips softened. The barrier she kept around herself seemed to waver. The debris passed, leaving the ship damaged but intact. Both Ryan and Seren were breathing heavily, sweat and smoke mingling in the air. Ryan wiped his forehead and looked at her. "You fought well," he said, "but you do not have to fight alone." Seren looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting the dim lights of her ship. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she muttered, "Humans are strange indeed." "You do not fear the fire around you," Ryan smiled faintly. "We learn to live with it. And sometimes we learn to trust it." Seren looked away. She had never been praised for patience or kindness. Her people valued strength above all. Yet here was a human, calm in the midst of chaos, risking himself not for glory but for her safety. She could not deny a feeling stirring inside her, something unfamiliar. She shook her head slightly. "Do not think this changes anything, human. Touch me again and you will regret it." Rian nodded. "I understand. No need for threats when trust can guide us." For a long moment the two stood in silence, listening to the hum of the ship and the distant whine of the nebula winds. There was tension, yes, but also a sense of connection. Something unspoken bridged the gap between human and Thalaran. "Prepare the ship for departure," Rian said finally. "I will stay until your crew can manage repairs." Seren nodded, her silver eyes still studying him. Perhaps humans are not as fragile as my people say." Ryan glanced at her, a small smile on his lips. "Fragile things can endure. Strong hands can break, but hearts can persist." She did not respond, but she allowed him to move closer to the console, working side by side. In the quiet of the damaged ship, a fragile alliance began to form, one built not on fear but on courage, trust, and the stubborn human way of seeing hope even in the darkest space. The stars outside the nebula swirled endlessly, silent witnesses to a moment that could change the course of two very different lives. And though she would not admit it yet, Seren's heart felt a spark of something new, something strong, something that could survive even in the cold void of space. The Aurora trail moved slowly through the violet clouds of Nebula K7. Commander Ryan and Seren walked through the corridors, checking the ship's systems. The atmosphere inside was heavy with smoke and the faint smell of burned circuits. Even though the immediate danger had passed, both knew that space held more challenges than a single battle. Seren moved carefully along the walls, her silver eyes scanning every panel. She had not expected humans to be so persistent. Most of her kind, the Thalaran, avoided humans. They called them fragile, reckless, and short-lived. Yet here she was, walking beside one and seeing strength in ways she had never imagined. "You humans are not like the others," she said quietly. "You do not fear risks and you do not fight for glory." "Why is that?" Ryan adjusted his uniform and smiled faintly. "We fight for each other. Our lives matter, but the lives of others matter too. That makes us strong." Seren looked at him and shook her head slightly. "Your kind is foolish. Strength without caution leads to death." "Perhaps," Ryan said. "But caution without action leads to nothing." They reached the engineering section. Sparks flew from a broken generator and the lights flickered. Ryan knelt beside the machinery, examining the damage. Seren knelt opposite him, her hands hovering over the panels. She was capable of fixing it herself, yet she did not move. She was studying him. "You could do this faster," she said, her voice soft. "Why do you take so long?" Ryan laughed lightly. "Because I make sure it works the first time. Rushing leads to mistakes." Seren frowned but continued watching. There was something different about this human. Most of her people valued speed and power over patience. Humans valued both, but in ways that were unpredictable. It made her uneasy and curious at the same time. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Warning lights flashed across the walls. Ryan grabbed a panel and stabilized it while Seren moved quickly to assist. A small explosion sent a wave of heat across the room, but both kept their focus. "You are reckless," Seren said after the heat passed. "One wrong move and you could die." "I know the risks," Ryan said calmly. "And so do you. That is why we work together. She did not respond. She only nodded slightly and returned to the panel. The generator hummed steadily under their hands, a rhythm that felt alive. Hours passed as they repaired critical systems. During the process, Seren began to notice something unusual. Humans worked as a team not because they were forced to, but because they chose to. Even in danger, they communicated, trusted, and shared responsibility. Her people fought alone. Strength was measured by survival, and cooperation was a sign of weakness. Yet here was a human, calm, precise, and unafraid, showing her that strength could exist in unity. As the repairs finished, Ryan wiped his hands on a cloth and looked at her. "There, systems are stable. Your ship can move again," Seren studied him quietly. "You make it look easy. Your people survive because of their confidence in each other, not because of luck." Ryan smiled. "Confidence, training, and trust. That is what keeps us alive." Seren shook her head. "It is strange. I do not know if I like it or hate it." "You may not understand it now," Ryan said, "but you will. Humans are strange to most, but the truth is simple. Helping others, trusting others, and facing danger together is what makes us strong." The ship jolted again. This time it was a larger impact. Debris from the nebula struck the hull. The lights dimmed and alarms blared. Ryan ran to the bridge and activated the shields. Seren followed, her armor clinking softly as she moved. "Human, we cannot withstand too many strikes," she said. "Your technology is fragile. We must escape quickly," Ryan nodded. "I know, but we can survive if we work together. Hold the controls steady. I will reroute power." Seren watched him closely as he moved with calm precision. His hands flew over the panels, rerouting energy and stabilizing the shields. She could see the determination in his eyes. Humans were not perfect. They were not invincible, but they had courage. They had hearts that refused to give up. The debris passed, leaving the ship shaken but intact. Both Rian and Seren were breathing heavily. The alarms finally stopped and silence returned to the ship. "You humans are fools," Seren said, her voice low. "You risk everything for a chance at survival." "Not a chance," Ryan said. "A choice. We fight because we can. We survive because we must. And we help others because it is right." Seren stared at him. "Your words are strange. They carry weight I do not understand." Rian stepped closer. "You do not need to understand yet. You will see it in action." They spent the next few hours in silence, repairing the smaller systems and checking the shields. Seren was quiet but attentive. She had never worked with anyone like this before. Humans did not rely solely on strength. They relied on ingenuity, patience, and teamwork. She had seen soldiers fall in battle, leaders fail, and warriors perish, yet humans always found a way to continue. By evening, the repairs were mostly complete. The ship could move at low speed, and critical systems were stable. Ryan checked the navigation panel and set a course out of the nebula. Seren leaned against a console, her arms crossed. "Your people survive not because they are strong, but because they are persistent," she said finally. Rian nodded. "Persistence and heart. Strength alone is not enough. You need both." Seren's eyes flickered. "Heart? That is not how my people measure strength." "No, it is not," Ryan said. "But it is what makes humans endure." She looked at him silently. Then for the first time she spoke softly. "I will admit, you are different. Perhaps humans are not as fragile as I was told." Ryan smiled faintly. "We are not perfect, but we are resilient. We make mistakes, yet we keep going. That is what matters." The two stood in silence for a moment, listening to the hum of the ship. Outside, the nebula swirled, its violet clouds reflecting the dim lights of the corridor. Seren could not help but feel a strange sense of calm. For the first time, she allowed herself to consider that there might be more to humans than she had believed. Suddenly, the sensors blared again. Another ship approached, larger and armed. Ryan and Seren rushed to the bridge. "It is the raiders," Seren said. "They have tracked us," Ryan nodded. "Prepare for defense. I will take the shields. You handle the weapons." Seren's hands moved over the controls, her movements precise and fast. She was a warrior, trained to survive at any cost. Yet now she was working with a human, not beside him, but with him. The difference was subtle but powerful. Trust was something her people did not give easily. Yet she found herself depending on Ryan's decisions. The raider ship fired first. Energy beams struck the Aurora trail, shaking the ship violently. Sparks flew from the walls. Ryan activated the shields and Seren fired back with precision. They moved as a team, their actions coordinated without speaking. The human and the Thalren fought side by side, and the ship held against the assault. After a tense few minutes, the raiders retreated, their ship damaged but still functional. Ryan exhaled heavily, wiping sweat from his brow. Seren leaned against the console, her breathing slow and measured. "You humans fight strangely," she said. "You do not strike to kill, only to survive. You protect even when it is not necessary." "That is who we are," Ryan said. "We protect what we can. Strength is measured by what you defend, not by what you destroy." Seren looked at him and for the first time smiled slightly. It was a small gesture, but it carried a lot of meaning. She could not explain it yet, but she respected him. More than that, she felt a connection she had never allowed herself to feel with anyone before. "Perhaps I misjudged your people," she said softly. "You are not just fire that burns quickly. You are something more." Ryan nodded. "We are flawed, but we endure. That is our strength." The two of them stood in silence, the ship humming steadily beneath their feet. Outside, the nebula continued its endless dance. But inside the Aurora Trail, a bond had begun to form. It was fragile and unspoken, yet it was there. A human and a Thalren standing together against the darkness of space. Seren looked at him, her silver eyes thoughtful. "You may be strange human, but you are remarkable," Ryan smiled faintly. "And you are not as alone as you think. Strength is nothing without someone to share it with." For the first time, Seren considered the possibility that humans were not just fragile fires. They were resilient, persistent, and capable of something her people rarely understood: compassion. As the Aurora Trail moved slowly away from the nebula, the stars stretched endlessly ahead. The human and the Thalren worked together, not because they had to, but because they chose to. And that choice, Rian knew, was the kind of strength that could change the universe. The Aurora Trail glided through the dark reaches of space, leaving the violet clouds of Nebula K7 behind. The ship was quiet now, the alarms silenced and the emergency lights dimmed to a soft glow. Commander Ryan walked through the corridors, checking on the systems and making sure nothing was damaged from the last attack. Seren followed close behind, her steps careful, her silver eyes scanning every corner. She had never traveled on a human ship before, and every detail fascinated her. "The engines are holding steady," Ryan said, glancing at the panel. "No leaks, no malfunctions. We should reach safer space within a few hours." Seren nodded, though her mind was not on the engines. She watched the humans move, the way they worked as a team, the way they spoke calmly, even in danger. Her people valued strength, skill, and quick thinking. But humans seemed to have another type of power. They had patience, trust, and courage that did not fade in the face of fear. "You humans are strange," she said softly. "You do not panic even when surrounded by danger. Most of my people would have lost control long ago." Ryan smiled faintly. "We have learned that panic rarely helps. Calmness and teamwork do." Seren considered this. Her people fought alone. They believed relying on others was weakness. Yet here she was, working beside a human, surviving because of him, learning something she could not yet name. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. The lights flickered. Warning alarms blared. Ryan grabbed the railing and steadied himself. "What now?" Seren ran to the control panel. "A radiation storm. It is stronger than the scanners predicted. Shields will not hold if we are hit directly." Ryan moved beside her. "We have to guide the ship through it carefully. I will handle navigation if you handle the stabilizers." The storm raged outside. Flashes of green and orange lightning illuminated the dark space, reflecting through the ship's viewports. The Aurora Trail shook as the radiation pulses hit the hull. Sparks flew from the panels, and the emergency lights cast long shadows along the corridors. "Hold steady," Ryan said, his voice calm. "Do not let the readings distract you. Focus on your task." Seren adjusted the stabilizers, her fingers flying over the controls. Energy surged through the ship, redirected to counter the storm's force. She gritted her teeth, fighting her fear and frustration. Humans seemed fearless, but she could feel the storm press against her chest. "You are doing well," Ryan said. "Keep it steady. We can make it through this." Seren glanced at him. His calmness was like a shield around her, something solid to hold on to when everything else shook. She had never trusted anyone like this before, yet she found herself following his lead without hesitation. The ship rocked violently. A wave of radiation struck the engines, causing sparks to rain down from the ceiling. Ryan grabbed her arm and pulled her away from the hazard. Careful. We cannot afford injuries now. Siren's heart pounded. I am fine. The systems are more important. Ryan shook his head. No system is worth a life. Humans protect each other because we know that every life matters. Serene stared at him, her silver eyes wide. You place value on others' lives over your own? Yes, Ryan said. That is what makes us strong. Even fragile things endure when they are protected. Seren did not answer immediately. Her mind wrestled with his words. Her people valued survival above all else. Yet humans fought not just to survive, but to protect, to help, to endure for the sake of others. It was a power she had never known. The storm continued. The Aurora Trail rocked from side to side, metal groaning under pressure. Panels sparked and fell, sending small showers of sparks across the floor. Rian moved quickly, rerouting power and stabilizing the engines. Serene followed, adjusting the shields and redirecting energy. They worked in perfect unison, their movements complementing each other without a single word. Hours seemed to pass in a blur. Sweat dripped from Ryan's brow and Seren's hair clung to her face. Yet neither slowed. They were focused, determined, and unwilling to let the storm defeat them. Finally, the storm began to weaken. The flashes of lightning dimmed and the shaking lessened. The Aurora Trail drifted into calm space, the hum of the engines steady once more. Both Ryan and Seren sank to the floor, breathing heavily. You humans are remarkable, Seren said, her voice barely audible. Even in the face of danger, you keep going. Ryan smiled faintly. We do not fight because it is easy. We fight because it is necessary. We survive because we must, and we protect because it is right. Seren shook her head. Your people have courage, but it is more than that. There is determination, compassion, something I do not have a name for. Perhaps it is hope, Rian said. Hope and heart. Humans endure because we believe there is a reason to continue. Even in darkness, we look for light. Seren thought about this. Her people fought for survival, for victory, for pride. Humans fought for each other. The concept was foreign and confusing, yet something in her stirred. She had survived battles, but she had never fought with someone whose heart was as strong as his. The two remained on the floor, silent, until Rian finally stood and offered his hand. Serene hesitated, her silver eyes wary. She had not allowed herself to be vulnerable, yet now she felt the weight of something unfamiliar. Slowly she accepted his hand and stood. Your people trust easily, she said softly. I do not know if that is wise. Ryan nodded. Trust is a risk, but it is also a strength. We are not perfect, but we endure because we believe in each other. Seren looked away. She had spent her life believing that strength meant fighting alone. Yet here she was, surviving because of a human, relying on him without fear. It was a revelation she did not fully understand. Perhaps I misjudged your kind, she said quietly. Humans are not just fragile fires. You are something else entirely. Ryan smiled. We are flawed, but we endure. That is what matters. They spent the next hour checking the ship, making sure the engines and shields were fully functional. Serene worked with care, following Ryan's instructions. She began to understand how humans could endure so much. It was not just their strength, but their persistence, their ingenuity, and their courage that made them formidable. As the Aurora Trail moved steadily through space, a new sound reached them. The sensors detected another ship approaching. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Another raider, he said calmly. Prepare for possible engagement. We cannot let them catch us unprepared. Serene moved to the weapons console, her hands steady despite the exhaustion. They will not expect humans to survive the storm. That may be our advantage, Rian nodded. Stay focused. We will get through this together. The raider ship appeared on the viewport, larger and more heavily armed than before. It fired first, energy beams striking the hull of the Aurora Trail. Sparks flew and the ship shuddered. Ryan activated the shields, diverting power from engines to compensate. Serene fired back, aiming carefully and hitting the enemy ship's weak points. The battle was tense and precise. Every movement counted. Ryan and Seren worked in perfect coordination, their actions instinctive. They did not speak much, but their trust in each other was clear. Humans survived not because they fought alone, but because they relied on each other. After several tense minutes, the raider ship retreated, damaged but still functional. Both Ryan and Seren leaned against the consoles, breathing heavily. The Aurora Trail was intact, its systems stable, and its crew safe. You humans fight with heart, Seren said quietly. Not just skill, not just strength, heart. That is why you survive. Ryan nodded. It is part of who we are. We endure because we care, because we protect, because we believe in each other. Seren looked at him, her silver eyes thoughtful. Perhaps strength is not only about survival. Perhaps it is about what you protect and why. Ryan smiled faintly. Exactly. Strength without purpose is empty. Strength with heart is what changes the universe. The two of them stood in silence, listening to the hum of the ship. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, calm and bright after the storm. Inside the Aurora Trail, a bond had begun to grow. It was fragile, unspoken, but undeniable. A human and a Thelran surviving together, learning from each other and understanding that strength could take many forms. Seren finally spoke, her voice soft. You are strange, human, but I respect you. Perhaps more than I should, Ryan smiled. Respect is earned, not demanded. And you have earned mine as well. For the first time, Seren allowed herself to believe that humans were not just fragile fires. They were persistent, brave, and capable of enduring even the harshest storms. And perhaps, she thought quietly, that endurance was stronger than any weapon or armor in the galaxy. The Aurora Trail sailed on, carrying two very different beings, united by necessity and growing trust. They were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead because together, they had discovered the power of courage, heart, and determination. The Aurora Trail moved steadily through open space. Its engines hummed, shields fully operational and weapons ready. Commander Rian stood on the bridge, his eyes scanning the stars for any sign of danger. Serene was beside him, her hands resting lightly on the console as she monitored the sensors. They will not give up, she said quietly, her voice tense. The raiders know we survived the storm. They will return and they will come stronger. Rian nodded. I know, that is why we prepare. Humans do not flee from challenges. We face them together. Serene watched him closely. The calm in his eyes was different from any leader she had met. Most warriors her people respected relied on power, speed, or fear. Humans relied on something else. Patience, planning, and a willingness to risk themselves for others. It made them unpredictable and dangerous. Suddenly, the sensors blared. Multiple ships appeared on the horizon, sleek and armed with heavy weapons. The raiders had returned, more numerous and organized than before. Brace for impact, Ryan said. Serene, hold the weapons. I will manage the shields. Others prepare for battle. Serene nodded. She felt a surge of focus. Her hands moved quickly across the controls, firing energy pulses and targeting weak points. The raider ships fired first. Beams of energy struck the Aurora Trail, shaking it violently. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the metal groaned under the pressure. Ryan's fingers flew over the shield controls. He rerouted energy, boosting shields to maximum. Steady, he said calmly. Do not let them break through. Serene's eyes narrowed. She had faced enemies before, but humans fought differently. They did not strike for glory or revenge. They struck to protect, to survive, to save lives. Each shot she fired was precise, calculated, and aimed to defend, not destroy. The first wave of raiders fell back, damaged by their own overconfidence. The Aurora Trail had held, but the cost was clear. Panels were scorched, corridors filled with smoke, and the hum of the engines trembled under the strain. Ryan, Seren said, her voice sharp. They are regrouping. Another wave is coming, stronger than before. I know, Ryan said calmly. We will not back down. Humans do not run from challenges. We face them together. The raiders attacked again. This time they aimed directly at the engines. Energy beams struck the rear of the ship, causing it to shudder violently. Sparks flew and a section of the hull cracked. Ryan activated emergency protocols, diverting power from weapons to shields. Serene adjusted the targeting systems, focusing on the enemy weak points. Hold the line, Ryan said. Every second counts. Every action matters. The Aurora Trail shook under the barrage. Fires erupted in the corridors and smoke filled the air. The crew worked tirelessly, repairing systems while defending the ship. Humans moved quickly, calmly, and without hesitation. They were not perfect, but they refused to give up. Each action, each choice, reflected a determination that seemed impossible to break. Seren fought alongside them, her movements precise and deliberate. She had trained for years to survive, but humans fought differently. They fought with heart. She realized that this heart made them formidable. They survived not because of armor, weapons, or speed, but because they refused to surrender. Hours passed. The raiders attacked relentlessly, but the Aurora trail held. Every time a section of the ship faltered, the crew repaired it. Every time a shield flickered, Ryan and Seren stabilized it. The human determination was tireless, the teamwork seamless, and the courage undeniable. Finally, the raiders faltered. Their ships were damaged, and their confidence waned. The Aurora Trail's crew took advantage of the moment. Seren fired the final shots, precise and controlled, disabling the enemy weapons and forcing them to retreat. The silence after the battle was almost deafening. The ship groaned as systems stabilized and smoke cleared from the corridors. Humans and Seren were exhausted, but they had survived. Together, Rian leaned against a console, breathing heavily. "We held the line," he said quietly. "Not because of weapons, not because of speed, but because we fought together." Seren nodded slowly, her silver eyes reflecting the dim light. She had witnessed humans at their finest, not perfect, not invincible, but courageous, persistent, and united. She realized that their strength came from something deeper than any armor or weapon. "They protect each other," she said softly. "Even when it is dangerous, even when it costs them." "That is remarkable," Ryan smiled faintly. "Strength is not about fighting alone. Strength is about what you defend, who you protect, and why you refuse to give up." Seren looked around the bridge. The crew moved efficiently, repairing damage, checking systems, and preparing for the next challenge. There was no fear in their eyes, only determination. Humans were not just survivors. They were fighters, protectors, and builders. They endured because they chose to, not because they had to. "I did not understand before," Seren said quietly. "I thought humans were fragile. I thought you relied on luck or chance. But I see now. It is heart that makes you strong," Ryan nodded. "Heart and courage. That is what survives when everything else falls apart. That is what endures." The stars outside stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the human spirit. Seren realized that she had changed. She had seen strength in a new form, one that her people rarely understood. Humans were not the fastest, not the strongest, and not the most cunning. Yet they endured. They survived. They protected each other. They persisted when all odds were against them. She looked at Ryan, her expression thoughtful. "Perhaps I misjudged your kind," she said softly. "Perhaps humans are not just sparks that burn out. You are a fire that endures," Ryan smiled. "We are flawed, but we endure. That is what matters. And when we stand together, we can face anything." Seren nodded. She had never admitted it before, but she trusted him. Not blindly, but because she had seen the truth of his words. Humans were extraordinary, not because of weapons or armor, but because of their hearts and their courage. The Aurora Trail moved steadily through space, its crew ready for the next challenge. Seren stood beside Rian, no longer just an observer but a participant in their survival. She had learned something invaluable. Humans were not perfect, but they were resilient. They fought not only for themselves but for each other. That was their true strength. Suddenly Ryan spoke, his voice calm but firm. "Prepare the crew for repairs and recovery. We cannot let exhaustion slow us. There may be more threats ahead." Seren nodded. She moved to help the crew, guiding them through repairs. She realized that humans did not stop when danger passed. They prepared for the next challenge. Their endurance was endless. As the Aurora Trail sailed through the stars, Seren felt a sense of respect and admiration she had never known. Humans were unpredictable, often reckless, yet their courage was unmatched. They survived because they believed in each other. They fought because they cared. They endured because they refused to give up. She looked at Ryan once more. "You're a strange human, but I respect you. Perhaps more than I should." Ryan smiled faintly. "Respect is earned, not demanded. And you have earned mine as well." The Aurora Trail glided through space, carrying two beings from very different worlds. One human, one Thalrin. Both had faced danger, fought side by side, and survived. Both had discovered a truth that could not be measured by weapons or strength. The human heart, resilient and courageous, had proven stronger than any enemy, any storm, or any fear. Seren realized that strength was more than power. It was endurance, courage, and the willingness to protect. Humans were not just survivors. They were a force to be reckoned with, and she was proud to stand beside one of them. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, silent witnesses to a bond forged in fire and trust. The Aurora Trail sailed on, carrying its crew toward whatever awaited them next. Together, human and Thalaran faced the galaxy with courage, heart, and determination. They would endure. They would survive. And they would protect each other, no matter what. The Aurora Trail drifted through quiet space, the stars stretching endlessly ahead. After the battle with the raiders, the ship was damaged but stable. Commander Ryan walked through the corridors, checking on the crew and inspecting repairs. Serene followed him closely, her silver eyes observing every detail. She had fought beside humans, survived storms, and seen courage that was unlike anything her people valued. "They are repairing the engines," Ryan said, glancing at the crew working tirelessly. "It will take hours, but they will have it running before nightfall." Serene nodded slowly. She had expected humans to be fragile, to panic under pressure, but they were not. They were resilient, persistent, and willing to protect each other no matter the cost. Her mind replayed the past days, the storm, the attacks, the way humans never gave up. "You humans are strange," she said quietly. "You endure when others would fall. You fight even when hope seems lost." Ryan smiled faintly. "We endure because we must. We fight because it is right. And we protect because life is worth saving." Serene considered this. Her people fought for survival, pride, or honor. Humans fought for each other. That was their strength. That was what made them formidable in ways her people could never understand. Suddenly the sensors blared. Another ship appeared, approaching from the starfield ahead. Serene tensed. "More raiders?" Ryan shook his head. "No. This is a patrol from the Intergalactic Council. They have tracked the raiders and are coming to assist us." Relief washed over Serene. Humans had allies in the galaxy, yet she realized that the Aurora Trail had survived much on its own. The crew had faced the storm, the raiders, and countless dangers through courage, ingenuity, and teamwork. Humans did not need help to endure, but they were not afraid to accept it. The Council patrol ship docked with the Aurora Trail, and representatives boarded. They moved with authority but with respect, observing the repairs and the crew's work. Rand greeted them calmly. "The ship is stable," he said. "We handled the raiders. Minimal losses. The crew is ready for any further challenges." One of the representatives, a tall figure with metallic blue skin, nodded. "Impressive. Few survive a storm and a raider attack without significant casualties. Your crew's endurance is remarkable." Ryan gestured towards Serene. "It is not just humans who show strength. My ally here, Saren of the Thalaran, fought bravely and guided us through critical moments." Saren felt a flicker of pride. Her people rarely acknowledged anyone outside their kind, yet humans recognized effort without bias. It was a concept she found difficult, but admirable. The council representatives spoke briefly with the crew, giving orders to report the raider movements. Then they prepared to depart, leaving the Aurora Trail free to continue its journey. Ryan and Serene stood on the bridge, watching the patrol ship disappear into the stars. "Humans are remarkable," Serene said softly. "Even when the odds are against you, you endure. You fight with courage and heart, not just skill." Ryan nodded. "Strength is not just about survival. It is about what you protect and why. Humans endure because we care. That is our true power." Serene looked at him silently. She had fought alone for most of her life, believing that strength was measured by survival and victory. Yet now she understood that strength could take many forms. Humans were not the fastest or the strongest, but they had courage, persistence, and a heart that refused to give up. That was their advantage, and she had witnessed it firsthand. Hours passed. Repairs continued, and the crew worked tirelessly. Serene moved among them, assisting where needed. Learning how humans operated in the face of challenges, she realized that humans did not stop when danger passed. They prepared for the next challenge. They adapted, learned, and grew stronger with every trial. At one point, Ryan and Serene found themselves alone in a quiet corridor. The soft hum of the ship's engines was the only sound. Serene hesitated, her silver eyes reflecting the dim lights. She remembered her words when they first met. "Touch me again, human, and you will regret it." Yet now everything had changed. She had witnessed his courage, his care for others, and his unwavering heart. Ryan noticed her hesitation. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. Serene looked away. "I did not expect humans to be so remarkable. I misjudged you and I misjudged your people." Ryan smiled faintly. "We are not perfect, but we endure. That is what matters." She studied him for a long moment. "I see now that strength is more than survival or skill. Strength is endurance, courage, and heart. Rian nodded. Exactly. And when we stand together, we can face anything. For a long moment, silence passed between them. Then Seren took a deep breath and did something she had never done before. Slowly, she reached for Ryan's hand. He looked at her, surprised but calm. She met his gaze, silver eyes reflecting trust, respect, and something more. It was a gesture of connection, of understanding, of acceptance. You were right, she said softly. Even a fragile fire can burn forever. Ryan smiled, holding her hand lightly. Humans endure because we care. And now, we endure together. The stars outside stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to a bond formed through courage, trust, and mutual respect. Serene realized that humans were not just survivors. They were fighters, protectors, and builders. They endured because they chose to, and they fought because it was right. The crew finished the final repairs. The Aurora Trail moved steadily through space, its systems fully functional, shields strong and weapons ready. The stars flowed past the viewports like a river of light. Serene and Ryan stood together on the bridge, watching the endless expanse, both aware that the galaxy held many challenges, but also many possibilities. You humans have taught me something valuable, Serene said quietly. Strength is not just measured by victory or survival. It is measured by courage, endurance, and what you protect. Ryan nodded. That is what makes humans remarkable. We survive not because we are perfect, but because we refuse to give up, and we protect each other along the way. Serene smiled faintly. I will remember this. You have shown me a power I did not understand before. Humans are extraordinary. Ryan looked out at the stars, his hand still lightly holding hers. And the galaxy is full of possibilities. Together we can face them all. The Aurora Trail sailed on, carrying its crew into the vast reaches of space. Human courage, persistence, and heart had proven stronger than storms, raiders, or fear. Serene had witnessed it firsthand, and she would carry the lesson with her forever. As the stars stretched endlessly, Ryan and Seren stood side by side, ready for whatever awaited them next. They had fought together, endured together, and survived together. They were no longer just allies. They were a team, a bond forged in fire, trust, and courage. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, yet humans had shown that strength could take many forms. They endured, they protected, and they inspired. And in that truth, Seren found something she had never felt before: hope. The Aurora Trail moved steadily forward, its lights bright against the darkness of space. Humans were not fragile fires. They were enduring flames capable of lasting far beyond what anyone expected. And standing beside Commander Rian, Serene realized that she had found something extraordinary in the human spirit, something worth protecting, something worth trusting. The stars outside continued their endless dance, but inside the Aurora Trail, a new light had been born, a light of trust, courage, and the enduring power of the human heart. Seren and Rian stood together, their hands joined, their hearts aligned, ready to face the universe and all its challenges. And in that moment, both knew that no matter what came next, they would endure. Together.